and opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Brooklyn Station LLC, brooklynstation.com, KingdomDQueenRadio.com, or any of its affiliates. The information provided is for informational and entertainment purposes only.
Tonight, we are going to witness the most anticipated match in history for the heavyweight championship of the world. Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ultimate battle for survival between two ancient alien races. In the Anunnaki corner, we have the powerful Marduk, a fierce warrior from Mesopotamian mythology. He is known for his cunning tactics and unrivaled strength, having once ruled over the planet Earth with an iron fist. Marduk is fueled by his thirst for power and dominance, making him a formidable opponent in this fight to the death. And in the other corner, we have the enigmatic Greys, mysterious extraterrestrial beings rumored to have visited Earth for centuries. These beings are known for their advanced technology and telepathic abilities, making them a force to be reckoned with. Will the Anunnaki's brute force be enough to defeat the Greys' superior intellect and technology? Only time will tell in this epic showdown for survival.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, from the capital city of the United States of America, Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
As Terry Matthews gazed in horror, a catastrophic scene unfolded before her eyes, only to end with a surprising twist. Happy hybrids strolled in a peaceful setting, guided by mysterious aliens who pointed her towards a screen displaying a massive explosion resembling a mushroom cloud. Uncertain if the devastation was on Earth or another planet, she marveled at the vivid image with its brilliant colors and billowing white clouds, etching itself into her memory. Soldiers marched forward, a crashed plane lay in ruins, and a barren field held a solitary, angry-looking girl. These fleeting images passed by in a blur, leaving Terry with a mix of confusion and intrigue, wondering about the connection between the different elements she had witnessed and what the future might hold for this unknown world.
I am enveloped by a strange sensation, as if a shadowy figure is communicating with me not through words, but through silent whispers in my mind. It's akin to a narrator in a film, the grey entity's thoughts dripping with a hint of melodrama. The word inevitable echoes persistently, casting a foreboding cloud over my thoughts. I feel as though I am being manipulated, toyed with by an unseen force that seems to be conveying a warning or a threat.
As the next image materialized, it revealed a desolate and lifeless landscape, void of any trace of existence. However, the bleak surroundings swiftly transitioned into a breathtaking scene of flourishing fields, colorful blooms, and mysterious hybrids strolling peacefully. The ambience exuded serenity and contentment, with even the offspring moving gracefully. It resembled an endless, flawless garden, reminiscent of an extraterrestrial greeting card, with a hint of propaganda in its presentation. The hybrids appeared to be relishing a leisurely Sunday afternoon, radiating a profound sense of calmness and tranquility.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's them. It's the aliens. They're here. They're gonna take over. Oh my God.
During the 5-day abduction of Allison Reed, she bore witness to scenes of devastation at the hands of aliens who promised to intervene in a future era of human turmoil.
The human body generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery and over 25,000 BTUs of body heat. Combined with a form of fusion, the machines had found all the energy they would ever need. There are fields here, endless fields, where human beings are no longer born. We are grown.
During a 4.5-day abduction, a hybrid took Allison to rejoin her escort, who had been with her since the beginning of the abduction. The hybrid mistakenly took Allison into a room that apparently was off limits. It was large, circular, and had a vaulted ceiling. Allison saw approximately 40 tanks filled with liquid in a horseshoe arrangement around the circular wall. She heard a humming sound and saw a yellow light streaming to the center of the room from the ceiling. The light in the center, it withdraws. I'm standing there for a while. Eventually, the light in the center, it kind of sucks itself up. It goes into the ceiling. Now these things, or tanks, they are, like, tilted back just ever so slightly, but randomly they'll sit front, and then the water, I say water, the liquid just goes. It just goes. I don't know where it goes. I hear whish. In the midst of a conversation with a late-stage grey alien or human hybrid, Reshma Kamal was taken aback by the starkness of his words regarding the future. The alien elucidated that with time, individuals like Reshma would inevitably lose their memories of beloved ones and past experiences, just as he had. He forebodingly disclosed that forthcoming generations would be stripped of meaningful recollections, existing solely for a singular purpose. Reshma found herself puzzled by the enigmatic nature of the alien's communication, uncertain of the implications behind his reference to the people who will come after you. The harrowing glimpse into a future devoid of memories left her disconcerted and probing into the intentions of the alien. Anati arrived at a luxurious hotel in New York equipped with a unique device containing exclusive telephone numbers belonging to top members of the NSA. These numbers were strictly reserved for extraterrestrial reverse engineering matters and were kept secret even from the president himself. Upon contacting the NSA, they immediately recognized the importance of the extraterrestrial data and agreed to a meeting. They kindly offered to fly Anati to Washington, D.C., but she politely declined. During the meeting, they mentioned something about memories, which sparked Anati's curiosity, leading her to inquire further about the cryptic message.
During the heated discussion, one of them nonchalantly remarked, "Business is business. They've exceeded our expectations, so gaining extra knowledge isn't a big deal if a few more people are abducted." Another member of the group quickly countered, "It's not just a few people, it's thousands being tortured and killed." "Some harsh measures are unavoidable," chimed in a third, showing support for the ruthless tactics. Trying to conceal my shock, I pressed on, "Do you realize they're attempting to take over Earth?" "We weren't informed of such intentions," admitted yet another, revealing a gap in their knowledge and raising concerns about the true motives of the extraterrestrial beings.
One of the individuals inquired, "Are you threatening us?" as the others gazed at me with neutral expressions. "I wouldn't classify it as a threat," I responded calmly. "Instead, I see it as a fair warning. The power of the Anunnaki surpasses that of both humans and Greys. They could have acted without notice, but they choose to offer a chance to save as many humans as possible." "Indeed, Ms. Anati," remarked another individual, "the Greys pose an immediate danger, being so close and beyond our control. The Anunnaki, on the other hand, are distant. Yet, your willingness to assist us does not go unnoticed. What do you propose we do?"
Do you know about the invisible radio plasma belt surrounding Earth? It's said to be used to isolate our planet from the universe. This belt can expand and affect missiles, rockets, or airplanes, causing them to explode. Some believe it's behind mysterious incidents involving aircraft in Vietnam and other space missions. The Anunnaki claim they want to help rid the Earth of the Greys, who are causing harm. They offer a choice: join them for assistance or remain with the Greys. If the latter is chosen, the Anunnaki warn they have the power to eradicate the human population if the violence continues. Trust in the Anunnaki could lead to a better future, but the consequences of siding with the Greys could be dire.
It's the alien. They're here. Something to take over.
Okay, so yeah, like Mr. Tellinger says, I don't particularly want to dwell on aliens, except for the fact that as you dig through history, you find enough evidence to literally convict someone of murder in a court of law here in the U.S. Eyewitness accounts, which of course we call mythology. Anyway, it's enough to convict somebody of murder in a court of law here in the U.S., which is supporting the interaction with entities from a number of different other places, a number of elsewheres. It's also enough evidence to put someone to death in Texas, supporting the abduction of human beings by some of these entities, primarily the ones from Zeta Reticula, known as the Greys. There's two species of Greys, but these ones have the big old almond eyes. These are the ones that are behind the breeding program, which seems to be their agenda. So I'm forced to go further down that rabbit hole, and since this is the story of my journey, that means you get to go down the rabbit hole too. Alright, so the infamous Greys from Zeta Reticula are the almond eyes, pointy chinned ones. They're running the hybridization program, and the prophecies regarding mass extinction, destruction, and a happy new future for the hybrids and them and the chosen few is basically the message they send. It doesn't ever say anything about the rest of humanity, which I find to be disturbing. Eventually we'll get to a menagerie where I break down the various players that we have eyewitness testimony to, as far as the interdimensional extraterrestrial thing goes. The reason why I call it a primer for the Book of Ramashad, or is it Ramadash? Book of Ramadash is simply because that particular grimoire preserves the teaching supposedly of the Anunnaki. I suspect it goes all the way back to the Apkallu, which are the half-man, half-hybrids, or the hybrids spoken of in mythologies, aka demigods. Thing is, I personally have seen a UFO, and as far as I know, I was not abducted. I still have felt a lot of the same things these people are talking about, and experienced the same kind of stuff, to the point where it's like for years now it's felt like I've had a hand pushing on my back, and I've been spoon-fed information, and then later the facts pop up that support it. It's kind of uncanny and unnerving, and it's taken me down some like really what the F moments, and been really super overwhelming at times. Still kind of struggle to come up with a sense of equilibrium between perceiving reality in an entirely different way and trying to function in this reality at once you know it's like an illusion. It kind of demolishes your capacity to function in it anymore, and it gives you a weird way of looking at it. I can't really explain it in a way that anybody can understand, which is aggravating. Anyway, I do know that, the important part here, and what I hope that some of you walk away with, is that each of these species have powers that we would originally, would have, and probably still would perceive as magic. Except the only time there's magic is if you're in Vegas. So it's basically they have higher levels of perception, and they understand science much better than we do. And this, of course, is where it gets spiritual, because you can't have science without spirituality, period. I don't care what anybody says. And you'll notice that through, if you start really digging through history and the various books archaeologists are writing, they're starting to notice that there seems to be a concentrated, deliberate, and systematic conspiracy to diminish us in our mental capacity, and that it spans a large portion of our known history, almost all of it, really. they don't really go, nobody goes very far down that rabbit hole because it's kind of deep, dark, and scary. But I want you to, I mean, do your own research. Read some books by your more open-minded archaeologists, and you'll find almost all of them mention these machinations against us. Um, so I mean, I've dug back enough to where I've discovered that everything I thought I ever knew was false. And while there's no doubt a father of all, there are also entities that have set themselves up as false gods. Gnosticism, aka, your non-canonical Christianity, calls this the demiurge, and there's a multitude of names for it, but this is a real phenomena, and it's like the more you start digging into alien abductions and stuff like that, the more it starts to become unnerving. Like The Matrix was more of a documentary. Uh, anyway, there is no doubt a father of all, but there are the entities that have set themselves up as false gods. So remember, you must look within to find the kingdom of heaven. That's what the teachings of Jesus really said, and it's very true. To find the kingdom of heaven, you must know yourself. You must look within. In the book of Thomas, it says if your teacher says the kingdom of heaven is in the sky, then the birds are closer to you. If they say it is in the water, then the fish already have it. It is within you, and it is without you. Know thyself, and the Father will know you. So, basically, the real question for me, besides the fact that, of just wanting to know, is, it's like, who is it that is behind this systematic design to destroy our memory? Because it gets mentioned by several abductees, which I find disturbing. Um, it's like, it's creepy. And I'm on the trail of whoever this adversary has, because, it's like, I want to know who it is, and I want them to pay. Not with hatred, but because justice must be served. And we need to be free to determine our own destiny. So with that, you're listening to BrooklynStation.com. To be sure to check out King and Queen Radio. Go to our artist links. Check out all our artists. If you want to advertise on the show, or if you want your own show, there is contact information provided in the show here in a moment. I will provide that. Other than that, I'm going to leave you with some more of the prophecies, as well as another interview with we heard from the Nibiruan, some from the Nibiruan hybrid, and now we're going to hear from Aldebaran.
Roxanne Ziegler recounted an eerie encounter with military figures in uniform just moments before a catastrophic explosion unleashed a mushroom cloud of destruction. The aftermath painted a bleak picture of a world in black and white, with burning trees, fleeing animals, and people afflicted with black, blistered skin. However, amidst the chaos, a voice proclaimed, "All's well that ends well," as a radiant light enveloped the earth, driving away the darkness and despair that had loomed over it.
As the darkness slowly recedes and despair dissipates, a vibrant and lively scene emerges. The once barren landscape is now teeming with life, lush, green grass flourishing, colorful butterflies flitting about, and radiant flowers blooming in abundance. Ethereal figures grace the surroundings, their light illuminating the scene like celestial beings. People move about energetically, their faces filled with joy and vitality, while children play freely under the warm, golden sunshine. Animals roam peacefully in the rich, verdant forest, adding to the harmonious atmosphere. Countless ships dock at the shore, unloading passengers who eagerly embrace each other, their reunions filled with warmth and love, as if finally returning home after a long and arduous journey. It is a time of new beginnings and rejuvenation as the world springs back to life in all its splendor.
The beings stepped out of their ships, their attire a stark contrast to our own. They adorned luminous cloth in an array of colors, each representing a different race. Despite their alien appearance, there was a sense of acceptance and curiosity as they guided our people through their technology. It was evident that their time with us was limited, but the impact they left on our world was profound. The advancements they brought revolutionized our society, enabling us to utilize our gifts and coexist harmoniously. A newfound respect for the earth and all living beings emerged, fostering love and acceptance among us. The future appeared brighter, filled with hope and unity as we looked toward the possibilities that lay ahead.
Oh my god, it's them. It's the aliens. They're here. They're gonna take over us. Oh my god, it's them. It's them. It's the aliens. They're here. They're gonna take over us. Oh my god, it's them. It's them. Aliens. They're here. Oh my god, it's them.
Marshall, you present what you call the Great Waves prophecy. Could you tell us what this prophecy is and where it comes from?
The Great Waves prophecy has been gifted to us from the source of all life to prepare us for the future that is coming and to warn us of the changes that we might have to encounter along the way. As a gift of warning, it is also a gift of love, given to an unprepared humanity. For we stand now at the threshold of great change in the world, great environmental change, great social, political, and economic change. Many people can feel this and of course see it taking place all around us. And yet it is so important now that we gain a sense of what is coming over the horizon. Because part of life isn't just living for the moment, it's actually preparing for the future. And that is why we have intelligence to enable us to do this. And we need this intelligence now more than ever. What I will be sharing with you today are not my thoughts or my inventions, but literally come from the great revelation that's been given to the world today from the Creator of all life, to prepare us for a future that will be unlike the past, and to give us the gift that will empower us to know what to do and how to proceed as we navigate the changing and difficult times ahead.
What specifically does the prophecy say about the future?
The prophecy paints a picture of the future both in terms of short-term and long-term realities. Clearly the world is warming up now. Clearly we're facing a world whose atmosphere has been radically changed and continues to be changed. We're facing a world where ever-growing numbers of people are drinking from a slowly shrinking well of resources that are available. And yet, as this accelerates, we begin to hit thresholds, major thresholds, that we're already facing in many parts of the world, particularly in poorer countries. But even in the wealthy nations, we're facing thresholds now, great storms that are coming to the world, which are not merely exceptional events, but are signs within themselves of a changing world, signs that the seas are rising and that superstorms are coming to batter the coastlines of this nation and nations around the world in many places. The new message tells us, for example, that over a period of 150 years, the seas will rise over 100 feet. Now, even if the seas rise only a foot or two, it'll be a major catastrophe for ports and cities and communities on the coastlines. It tells us that certain parts of the world will become uninhabitable due to lack of water and the inability to grow food, and that millions of people will become refugees seeking refuge somewhere else. Somehow, they must find shelter, and indeed, who will accept them? Who will take them? We're seeing this already in the world today on a smaller scale. But the larger scale presents a problem that's almost overwhelming in its scope and will require tremendous humanitarian aid and service to the world and tremendous cooperation between nations to meet these kinds of challenges. The new message tells us that food production will decline significantly given these great weather events, storms, floods, droughts, of a nature rarely seen in the history of our world, all happening now in an accelerating manner. The new message tells us that the cities and ports of the world will be flooded within 30 years. Flooded to a point where some of them may become uninhabitable, where whole populations may have to move inland from areas that cannot be restored. And yet, while this is tremendously shocking, and it has been shocking to me to receive these revelations, because these are not my ideas. I'm not coming up with this. It's taught me how I need to understand the changing events in the world, to recognize the signs of the world, not merely to interpret them to fortify my own sense of ideas or beliefs or assumptions, not simply to reassure myself that everything's going to be okay and that we'll recover from anything that can happen, for that is not true. Rather, the signs of the world teach us to watch the world, become world people now, not people that are just consumed with their own interests, not just consumed with their own desires for fulfillment or own problems, but begin to look at our communities and the surrounding environment to see what needs to be done to protect the human family going forward, giving these great waves of change that are now striking upon the world. Where we're now in the foothills of the great waves of change. The things that I speak of are already happening in an accelerating manner, and people around the world are being severely affected by them, even leading nations to war and conflict, even leading to great migrations of people who cannot live in their countries any longer, who cannot be sustained there. This is a crisis on so many levels, and it's a moral crisis. For if we consider ourselves to be spiritual people or ethical people or moral people, this will challenge the degree of our faith, the depth of our faith. Can we be prepared to take large numbers of people who are stranded and need a place to go? Think of our children who will be facing even more powerful demonstrations of the great waves of change that are striking upon the world, affecting every aspect of our life. It is something that takes courage and determination. You actually have to overcome resistance within yourself, your own fear, your own sense of hopelessness or helplessness. Because the new message from God that is showing us these things is giving it to us to give us the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the will to prepare. It is so easy to capitulate and to think that it's the end of the world. But if it was the end of the world, we would not have a new message from God, teaching us how to restore our world and to prepare for great change. It's a calling for each of us to become strong and determined and compassionate with one another. We're all in the same boat now. One nation will not become successful if other nations begin to fall and to fail. There's nowhere to hide from these great waves of change. All the places that people go, those places will be subject to great events as well. It is really a calling for humanity to emerge out of adolescence, living purely self-serving lives, to begin to see and question how we're going to take care of our world and each other and ourselves and our families, given these great waves of change that are striking the world. It is a threshold that we are already in now. It's not something that's going to happen 50 years from now. There's no way to be complacent about this if you're being responsible, if you're being careful, where you live, how you live. So important now, because many places that are greatly inhabited will become uninhabitable in the future. And in the meantime, will become ever more dangerous places to live, subject to great climate events, subject to great economic events, subject to changing circumstances. The new message tells us, however, that all people that have come into the world and have come into the world and are coming into the world at this time are people who are being sent here to deal with this. If we go beyond our own very human desires and concerns and hopes for fulfillment and stability and happiness, there's a deeper well within us, a deeper reality, a deeper knowledge that is still connected to those who sent us here. So what I'm telling you today isn't merely sensational. It's not meant to be sensational. It's not merely to scare you or frighten you into action. It's also to reach that part of you, that deeper part of you that exists beyond social manipulation, social imprinting, that deeper part of us that holds for us our greater purpose for being in the world, that will be called forth out of these great events. For I tell you, it takes great events to bring greatness out of us. Where do people cooperate most thoroughly, most compassionately, but in times of great duress, times of great need? We will cross economic boundaries, political boundaries, social boundaries to do this. And our world is now entering an ongoing emergency, facing the great waves of change. This will produce great calling for people, but also great danger. It should never be taken lightly or assumed to be of little consequence, for it will affect the lives of every person in the world today and all those yet to come.
So, Marshall, what specifically does the prophecy say about the timeline of these events?
The prophecy tells us that we're entering a new world reality. We're actually entering a new world experience. An experience is unlike what even our parents had to go through, which was significant in and of itself. Into this new world reality, we're facing many things that have never been faced by the whole world before. A changing atmosphere, a changing climate of the world, changing habitability of different regions of the world, shrinking resources, the potential for huge human conflict over who will have access to these remaining resources. That's a very big issue, a very big concern. But it's also the world that we have been sent to serve. And the new message tells us that we will be in this transition into a new world reality over the next 150 years. And we're in it already. It's not something that's going to begin years or decades from now. We are in it now. This is happening now. The ground beneath our feet is moving now. Perhaps you can feel it and see it and sense it. It's palpable. It's observable if we care to look. Many people regarding major events get concerned about the time frame of major events. What I would like to emphasize here is the importance of preparation. You prepare long before a major event. You prepare because you recognize that such an event is not only possible but probable. And probable not only based on history, but based on the changing circumstances of the world. For instance, a warming world creates warming seas, a warming atmosphere. That becomes fuel for superstorms, storms on a level that rarely ever occurs and has occurred in history. Now it becomes more frequent. Now it becomes more destructive as more people are inhabiting vulnerable areas of the world. You know, it wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. We have to build our ark, not only for ourselves, but to take care of those people we care about and our communities. You begin to build your ark way before the waters rise to overtake you, way before circumstances overtake you, way before the industry that you work for goes overseas or disappears. We have to be people now who are watching the world very objectively, with as little personal preference and as little fear as possible. This is how you gain the eyes to see. The new message calls this being in the watchtower of your life. For every fort in older times had a watchtower, and every fort today has a watchtower, though it may be different, may be technological. But you need to have a watchtower in your life. And to have the strength and courage to be able to look at things without coming to immediate conclusions. One of the problems that people have in these is they want to make everything understandable today. They want to be comfortable with it. They want it to be reassuring. But living close to the edge and reality of life is not so reassuring.
Without warning, completely shutting the way, forcefully propelling down. I into the water, her person with the television. The screams revealing on the wall of the sea. Everyone knew the world. Fear and uncertainty gripping silence. The unknown, the bush, swallowing home. Fear rushed past the movie, further into the abyss. The sensation of being consumed by the dark.
This time, not when the stakes are so unimaginably high. The builder's expression remains alien mind working through the intricacies of the game. The man fumbles with his cards, the weight of the world literally on his shoulders. Each decision, each bet, is a step closer to salvation or annihilation. The final hand is dealt. The room seems to shrink, the walls closing in. Time flows to a crawl. The man looks at his cards, his face a mask of determination. This is it, the moment of reckoning. He lays down his hand, revealing a combination that could either be his salvation or his doom. The room holds its breath. Cthulhu's eyes narrow, its testicles curl in anticipation. In that split second, the fate of humanity hangs in the balance. Will the man triumph against the cosmic odds, or will Cthulhu claim another soul, plunging the world into eternal darkness? Only time will tell. But remember, in a game where the stakes are everything, sometimes it's all or nothing.
You have to learn how to reassure yourself, to gain faith in your spiritual heritage to reassure you, to gain faith in the power of this deeper knowledge I speak of to reassure you, gain faith in your ability and the ability of those who are close to you to reassure you. Here you cannot simply be a victim of life, but an active participant. For all sent here ultimately to serve this world, both for the times in which we live and for the times to come. You have to learn how to reassure yourself, to gain faith in your spiritual heritage to reassure you, to gain faith in the power of this deeper knowledge I speak of to reassure you, gain faith in your ability and the ability of those who are close to you to reassure you. Here you cannot simply be a victim of life, but an active participant. For all sent here ultimately to serve this world, both for the times in which we live and for the times to come. Timing, however, is important. Given the changing conditions of the world, the time we waste is time lost. The time that is too concentrated on insignificant things, personal interests, hobbies, becomes time lost. The earth beneath us is changing under our feet. It's not that we need to panic, because panic is not effective, but we begin to look and sense and decide what we can do, beginning on a small scale and taking on bigger things as we go. But it has to be concentrated, it has to be determined. And not everyone can do this, truthfully. And you can't demand everyone to do this. You can't demand that, because that's not fair, that's not right. There are certain people who are already feeling uncomfortable with the condition of the world, the condition of their nation, for example, the condition of their economy, the condition of the health of their nation, the health of their people, the health of themselves. These are people who can be reached by a great message like this. They're already stirring inside. They're already looking for what they need to do. Because you simply can't be worried all the time. You need to get into action. This is what replaces fear and worry, which merely makes you weaker over time and less able to respond. So I pray that the things I'll be saying to you today will incite courage and determination. Because God is not going to save us and intervene in the 11th hour to change everything that we've done. God has put a deeper knowledge within us to guide us. And from there, God can work through us to change things that need to be done without the overbearing emphasis on theology, religion, or belief. It is our moral fundamental foundation. That's why we're here.
Drummers, get it in the car, look it up. So until 15, I was completely unaware of the whole phenomenon of what's going on Earth and Earth's history. But I had this knowing of my hybrid nature.
But you were just having dreams as a young child about these other beings.
Yes.
There must have been a transition point.
Yes.
Either in dreams or in telepathy, like in a room.
Yes.
What was we'll call it the pivotal moment that you realized it wasn't just dreams, that you were being communicated with by other entities?
So the dreams stopped when I was growing up. I forgot a little bit about this, and I continue my life normally as any other child. Of course, having psychic experiences, but not in communication with these beings. But at age 15, when my first memory came about abductions, and I started to become visited by extra-dimensional beings and have downloads of information, that's the pivotal point in which everything started to come.
And what's important is, at age 15, compared to the young 5-year-old having dreams, what happened? Was it a physical interaction with you in your house? How did the first relationship where you knew that you were dealing with something that was from another planet, how did that start?
It started with really strong downloads of information of really complex metaphysics and physics.
Give an example.
For instance, is the structure of existence, the mechanics of consciousness.
And like what would have been communicated to you as a 15-year-old?
I wanted to be a physicist, so I wanted to make a sense of existence. So by answering that question and questioning the evolution of humanity, if we were really like a transition from a hominid, or rather like a hybrid, a genetic experiment, that's when the heavy downloads came, and that's when I started to get questions to things that a 15-year-old will never know, not reading a book, not having read any book in her life.
Can you give an example so the audience could relate? What would be the question that you would ask, and then you would start getting a download in your mind's eye, seeing images, hearing sound? What would be an example of information coming to you? Yeah, give an example so that people would understand what you mean at age 15, that you were getting a download from something related to physics of the universe.
Well, I asked about God, about how is that we exist. And I got a paradox. I got an answer that is paradoxical, that says we exist because non-existence couldn't exist, because it will be the denying of existence. And only if existence exists, non-existence could exist, and that's why there is existence. And then I asked about God, and they told me, I got the information coming from me telepathically that gave me the vision that God is an all that is force, and everything that exists are infinite frequency modulations of that same energy that we call God, and is fractalized. And the purpose behind God and the universe existing and fractalizing into infinite aspects of itself is because God, by being everything, it was nothing at the same time. So God wanted to be someone, and that's why it fractalized itself to become someone. And the only number that God could divide itself, by definition, technically, mathematically speaking, is infinite, which is an abstract number.
And this whole concept that I've heard from many people in the abduction syndrome is fractals, the geometry of fractals, frequency is the essence of the universe and the essence of infinity, with the mathematical fractals always repeating.
Yes.
Which, in a way, it sounds like what you're talking about.
Definitely.
Now, to somebody who is listening, who might be another 15-year-old, you are getting information about a God force that is infinite and recreating itself mathematically and in frequencies so that its non-existence would not be what prevailed, which would mean there was nothing. Today, we're talking in 2022, you're 22 years old. What is your perspective right now on the intelligence that has been putting these downloads into you for the last 22 years?
I have to say that I will divide that collective into the ones that are not agenda-based, which are all about experience, for expansion, for spiritual expansion and experience, and the ones who have an agenda, that unfortunately have been the ones that have been manipulating and controlling deeply the awakening of humanity and all these scenarios.
And which type would this be and why?
My personal experience ranges from the agenda-based, the very agenda-based, and the non-agenda-based. So I have a mix, a duality of both of them.
But what would be the agenda of those that are denying their existence to humanity?
You mean the people who deny they exist?
Right. Yeah. What are those entities? What are they like? What do they look like? And why are they denying information?
Well, what kind of information are you asking?
Maybe I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that you've got telepathic download from beings that are trying to show you the essence of God frequency and why the universe exists.
Yes.
And that then there are others that are trying to block that information from humans.
More than blocking that information, they are using it for an agenda. They're controlling how it gets to people. What kind of information gets to people's consciousness and subconscious, which is the most important part, to then apply an agenda to that?
Well, I think a lot of people, especially 22-year-olds watching, they would want to know, how do you interact with these other intelligences? Are you taken in a beam of light into a craft and facing and getting telepathic downloads? What is your relationship with the non-humans that you feel are trying to show you that the universe is related to a God force that is based on math? I mean, how does that work versus others that are trying to block? I think that I'm hearing from you, there are those that are giving you information, and you're aware of others that are trying to block all of humanity from knowing the truth. So what do they look like, and why are some trying to communicate and others trying to block? We need to understand that.
So the beings that are responsible for my downloads, that explain to me all these dynamics and the structure of existence, are called Anunnaki, but there are various kinds of Anunnaki. Those specifically are blue-skinned, and they have a connection to what we will call the Celtic people from Earth. They are connected to specifically one important civilization from the past that they call Hyperborean. And they taught me history and their background.
The Hyperboreans.
Yes.
And their connection, the Anunnaki is a word that the world knows from ancient history. And you are saying that you feel that who is communicating with you is a current living version of the Anunnaki.
Yes, but...
And they're blue-skinned.
Yes. But what many people don't understand is that Anunnaki is nowadays a very general term, because it's a species made of many different races and sub-races. So even in between them, they have political conflicts, they have different mixing of genetics, they have different histories, they have different, let's say, paths of evolution. So Anunnaki is quite general, I will say.
But there was a group that had ropey headdresses, elongated heads, held rods that I have been told were language communicators directly with human brains. And that Anunnaki group, Enlil, Enki, and all of the stories, that they were an extraterrestrial civilization that came from another star, solar system, put a base on Earth, and were involved with genetic manipulation of already evolving primates to create what we call Homo sapiens sapien. So the Anunnaki would have been genetic engineers on the Earth of different life forms.
Correct.
What would they want today?
That's a question that can't be really asked because of what I said about the fact that Anunnakis are made of many different sub-races. So there are some races of Anunnaki who want control on Earth, and there are some of them who want to liberate Earth and leave humans that kind of freedom to evolve naturally without more genetic iterations, without control and manipulation. So that's why we have a lot of conflict in our history to the day of today, because they're behind the scenes.
What category do you put yourself in terms of there are human abductees, meaning they are taken in beams of light, they're in craft, sometimes on another planet, there's communication face-to-face with beings. There are other cases where it's dreams and it appears to be communication only. Then there are people who say that they are a product of genetic manipulation ongoing, a creation of hybrids on the Earth that even government political systems treat as possibly a threat to
Yes.
Earth. What category are you in? And if you can describe what you feel that you are right now in this whole huge complex story.
So I will define myself as a hybrid, a product of genetic engineering. I was given extraterrestrial genetics. I'm also an experiencer of breeding programs, those that you mentioned that are a threat to humanity, that I kindly agree. And my genetics were taken to create hybrid babies, which I am not okay with.
What is your personal understanding of what has happened between you and the Anunnaki and a genetics program that would involve taking souls?
So the beings known as the Greys are the main species that are behind this breeding program. The reason why is because they are a dying race. They are at the face of extinction, and they claim to be us from the future, so that they convince people that we are somewhat related genetically, so that we develop compassion and actually agree on a higher level or a lower level to give away our genetics. And they're doing this, and I have to say that I consider this to be one of the greatest threats in human evolution right now, because I had experiences when I confronted them and I exposed them to the public, the real intentions. When I did that, I was attacked by them to the point in which I almost passed away.
Okay, how did they attack you?
Psychically.
And what were you seeing, feeling?
My breathing was not normal. My tension was getting way too high out of no reason. And the explanation that I got from my contact, extraterrestrial, contact, is that there is an inner technology inside the human soul that is called the Merkaba. It's basically, in physics understanding, it's two vortices of energy spinning in different orientations. That is what creates a stable human vessel that is, available for the soul, that is great, let's say, attunement for the soul to be able to manifest itself in material form. when it spins into different directions, when it is manipulated and it's not balanced, illness, sickness, and even death can occur.
And are you seeing in your mind's eye, or are you seeing in front of you in actual 3D space, greys that are overseeing a process that you associate with taking your soul to apply to them?
It was astral experiences, what people will call out-of-body experiences. I will go to sleep as if it was a normal day, and my soul will get pushed out of my vessel, and I will find myself on a craft, and I will see the greys and the babies, and I will see them experiment on me.
And which gray are you seeing? There's some that have pointed chins. There are some that are like an upside down pear, shaped like a U. Which type of gray are you seeing?
They are about this tall. They are
about 4 feet.
Yes, and they have pointed chin and really big, large eyes.
Which is completely different than the EBEN, the acronym Extraterrestrial Biological Entity, which has pear-shaped heads. Have you dealt with pear-shaped EBENs, or only with the pointed chins?
With the pointed chins.
And the pointed chin has been identified on Earth as being a species that many people in the abduction syndrome associate with negative. Why are the pointed chins focused on Homo sapien?
Because they want to impose their genetics on this planet so that they can be introduced energetically, because everything is about frequency and vibration, but mostly DNA, which is a program. It's basically frequency patterns. It's physics. So if someone is able to control the frequency patterns that are programmed within the DNA structure of one species, that collective blueprint, they can insert themselves, they can manipulate the evolutionary course of that species.
Now, I'm assuming then that you have information about what our government of the United States is doing to block the frequency manipulation by the pointed chin greys.
I have had abductions, military abductions, in which the beings that were inside the craft, which are government people, also helped me save my life and helped me get away from these scenarios and attacks from the greys.
Did you feel like you were talking to a normal human in military dress?
Yes, and they also communicate through me through an etheric implant that was placed in my head, and I often have communications with them.
Can you give us what you remember of the communication with the first military person that you had interaction with?
The first interaction, conscious interaction with this military group was when I recovered my memories about my, let's say, experience in what people call the secret space program, or the Dark Fleet, which is the Nazis and the German space programs. That was the first time that I came in contact with groups that are factions within the SSP, the secret space program, but that has separated and are no longer on the same, let's say, mission or agenda, and help me, recover my memories, and also they help me save my life from the greys.
Well, let me ask you a historic question. Adolf Hitler, leading up to World War II, talked to people about the fact that he was working with extraterrestrials from the solar system, Aldebaran, that sun.
Correct.
And that they were blonde, blue-eyed, and that he was going to, in the war, make it possible for the Aldebaran blonde, blue-eyed beings to help him and then to take over the world and get rid of what he considered to be a reptilian presence on the earth. That was in the 1930s, leading up into what we all know as World War II in the first 5 years of the 1940s.
Discovery of the Tisul princess, a mummified woman in Siberia, remains one of the most mysterious and unexplained archaeological findings in recent history. This mysterious event, which occurred in the early 1970s, has sparked numerous theories and continues to intrigue researchers and scientists. The Tisul princess was discovered in September 1969 in the village of Rzavchik, Tisulskago, located in the Tisul district of Kemerovo Oblast, Siberia.
One of the most important discoveries this century in the context of archaeological discipline.
The unearthing of the mummy was purely accidental, resulting from the routine mining activities in the area. A local miner named Karpov stumbled upon a large, solid casket buried approximately 70 feet underground while excavating a coal mine. As Karpov and his colleagues worked to extract the casket, they were taken aback by its unusual design and pristine condition. The casket, made of a type of pinkish-white marble and sealed with an unknown black resin, stood out against the surrounding earth and coal. Upon closer inspection, they noticed that the resin had preserved the casket in such a way that it appeared almost new, despite the coal around it being millions of years old. The miners, driven by curiosity and a sense of duty to uncover what they had found, decided to open the casket. To their astonishment, the interior was filled with a pinkish-blue liquid that seemed to have preserved the contents perfectly. Inside, they found the remarkably well-preserved body of a woman. She appeared to be in her 30s, with European features, long, dark hair, and dressed in a delicate lace dress. Her hands were crossed over her chest and she wore an ornate silver tiara on her head. The woman's body showed no signs of decay, and her skin retained a lifelike elasticity and color, almost as if she were merely sleeping. This level of preservation, especially in such an ancient burial, was unprecedented. Additionally, the advanced craftsmanship of her dress and accessories suggested a high level of civilization and technological prowess that contradicted the historical timeline of human development. Word of the discovery quickly spread throughout the village and beyond. Local authorities were notified, and soon after, a team of Soviet scientists and archaeologists arrived at the site to examine the find. The initial excitement was tempered by a sense of caution and concern, as the discovery posed numerous unanswered questions and potential ramifications. The scientists who inspected the casket and its contents were baffled. The preservation method, the composition of the preserving liquid, and the advanced nature of the artifacts found with the body all defied conventional understanding. Preliminary tests indicated that the burial dated back tens of thousands of years, which contradicted established historical and archaeological records of human civilization in the region. Several aspects of the Tisul princess discovery added to its mysterious nature. Firstly, the depth at which the casket was found suggested it had been buried for an extraordinarily long period, far beyond the scope of known human history. Secondly, the preservation liquid, upon analysis, contained a complex mixture of chemicals that did not match any known natural or synthetic substances available at the time. Moreover, the fact that the woman appeared to be of European descent in a region historically inhabited by nomadic tribes added another layer of intrigue. Her sophisticated attire and the craftsmanship of her accessories hinted at a highly advanced and possibly forgotten civilization. As the implications of the discovery became apparent, the Soviet government took a keen interest in the case. The site was quickly cordoned off, and all information related to the find was classified. The casket and the remains of the Tisul princess were transported to a secure research facility for further study. Researchers were sworn to secrecy, and local villagers were warned not to speak of the event. This level of secrecy fueled numerous conspiracy theories and speculative narratives about the true nature of the Tisul princess. Some suggested that the discovery posed a significant threat to the established historical narrative, while others believed it was evidence of extraterrestrial involvement or an advanced ancient civilization. In the years following the discovery, information about the Tsul princess remained scarce and highly controlled. Occasional leaks and accounts from those involved in the original find suggested that the researchers had made significant but undisclosed breakthroughs in understanding the preservation techniques and the origins of the artifacts. One particularly intriguing theory that emerged was the idea that the Tsul princess could be an ancient escape pod from an advanced civilization that had either originated on Earth and disappeared, or come from another planet. This theory was partly fueled by the advanced technology evident in the preservation methods and the composition of the casket and its contents. Despite the Soviet government's tight control over information, some details about the Tsul princess continued to emerge through unofficial channels. Researchers who had worked on the project, bound by secrecy, occasionally hinted at breakthroughs that defied conventional scientific understanding. These revelations further fueled public curiosity and speculation. One of the key areas of research focused on the chemical composition of the preserving liquid found in the casket. Analysis revealed that the liquid contained a complex mixture of substances, including elements that were either extremely rare or unknown to modern science. This discovery led some researchers to hypothesize that the liquid was not naturally occurring, but rather synthetically engineered by a highly advanced civilization. Another area of interest was the casket itself, made of a type of marble not found in the region and sealed with an unknown black resin. The casket's construction suggested a level of technological sophistication far beyond what was believed possible for the time period, indicated by preliminary dating. The precision of the sealing and the preservation of the body indicated that the people who created it possessed advanced knowledge of materials science and preservation techniques. Several unique and interesting facts emerged about the Tsul princess and her burial site. For instance, her ornate silver tiara, upon closer inspection, was found to contain intricate engravings and symbols that did not match any known language or writing system. This led some to speculate that it might be a form of communication or record-keeping from a lost civilization. Additionally, the dress worn by the Tsul princess was made from a type of fabric that was both incredibly fine and durable, suggesting advanced textile production techniques. The fabric's weave was unlike anything seen in historical records, further complicating efforts to place her within a known historical context. The casket's location also raised intriguing questions. Found deep within a coal seam, the burial site was millions of years old, predating the emergence of modern humans. This anachronism suggested either that the casket had been deliberately placed there by an unknown civilization with advanced capabilities, or that it had somehow ended up there through means that defied current understanding of geological and archaeological processes. Theories about the origins and significance of the Tsul princess abound, ranging from the plausible to the fantastical. One of the more popular theories is that she was a member of a highly advanced ancient civilization that had achieved remarkable technological and scientific advancements before mysteriously disappearing. This theory posits that her burial was a form of preservation, intended to protect her body and knowledge for future generations. Another theory, which delves into the realm of science fiction, suggests that the Tsul princess was part of an ancient escape pod from an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Proponents of this theory point to the advanced preservation techniques and the unknown materials as evidence that the technology used was not of this Earth. They speculate that she might have been a member of a spacefaring race that visited Earth millions of years ago, only to leave behind a cryptic legacy. Several mysterious coincidences have added to the intrigue surrounding the Tsul princess. For example, shortly after the discovery, several individuals involved in the excavation and initial examination reportedly fell ill under unexplained circumstances. Some accounts even suggest that a few of these individuals died suddenly, leading to rumors of a curse or contamination related to the casket and its contents. Furthermore, there have been reports of unusual phenomena in the vicinity of the discovery site. Villagers have claimed to witness strange lights in the sky and unexplained electrical disturbances since the casket was unearthed. These occurrences have led some to believe that the site might hold residual energy or technology from the advanced civilization that created the casket.
And that's when I realized that in the Matrix, when Morpheus holds up the battery and he says, "We are the energy." And when I first saw the Matrix, I had no idea what he was talking about. I now have a much better idea what Morpheus was saying. What we energy for at this stage is open to interpretation. But what I do know, more than anything I've ever held dear, is that everything we've been taught is a lie.
Don't let them control it. They will indoctrinate you. Don't believe their lies. It's all bullshit. Everything you believe is a lie. Howdy. Is controlled by your belief. Open your mind. Don't let them control you. They will indoctrinate you. Don't believe their lies. It's all bullshit.
Sudosi budosi naranjanasi samsara maya pariyajitesi samsara svavanam jajamohadnidram najanma mrityor trisatsvarupi Sudosi budosi naranjanasi samsara maya pariyajitesi samsara svavanam jajamohadnidram najanma mrityor trisatsvarupi Sudosi budosi naranjanasi samsara maya pariyajitesi samsara svavanam jajamohadnidram najanma mrityor trisatsvarupi Sudosi budosi naranjanasi samsara maya pariyajitesi samsara svavanam jajamohadnidram najanma mrityor trisatsvarupi You are forever pure, you are forever true, and the dream of this world can never touch you. So give up your attachment and give up your confusion and fly to that space that's beyond all illusion. You are forever pure, you are forever true, and the dream of this world can never touch you. So give up your attachment and give up your confusion and fly to that space that's beyond all illusion. You are forever pure, you are forever true, and the dream of this world can never touch you. So give up your attachment and give up your confusion and fly to that space that's beyond all illusion. You are forever pure, you are forever true, and the dream of this world can never touch you. So give up your attachment and give up your confusion and fly to that space that's beyond all illusion. Sudo se budo se naranjana se samsara maya pariyajite se samsara svapanam traja moha nidram na janma mrityor trisatsvarupi. Sudo se budo se naranjana se samsara maya pariyajite se samsara svapanam jaja moha nidram na janma mrityor trisatsvarupi. Sudo se budo se naranjana se samsara maya pariyajite se samsara svapanam jaja moha nidram na janma mrityor trisatsvarupi. You are forever pure, you are forever true, and the dream of this world can never touch you. So give up your attachment and give up your confusion and fly to that space that's beyond all illusion. You are forever pure, you are forever true, and the dream of this world can never touch you. So give up your attachment and give up your confusion and fly to that space that's beyond all illusion. You are forever pure, you are forever true, and the dream of this world can never touch you. So give up your attachment and give up your confusion and fly to that space that's beyond all illusion. Sudo se budo se naranjana se samsara maya pariyajite se samsara svapanam jaja moha nidram na janma mrityor trisatsvarupi. Sudo se budo se naranjana se samsara maya pariyajite se samsara svapanam jaja moha nidram na janma mrityor trisatsvarupi. Sudo se budo se naranjana se samsara maya pariyajite se samsara svapanam jaja moha nidram na janma mrityor trisatsvarupi.
I didn't want to talk about the giants, but I'm forced to talk about the giants. We're getting to this point now that you can't have a discussion with somebody about any subject unless they have sufficient amount of information. Because they'll constantly block you, tell you you're stupid, and so forth. So it's tricky, and we have to navigate this river of discussion and debate very gently and very carefully, because we're going to lose friends and families and break up partnerships because of new knowledge and information that some of us embrace and others discard as BS.
They're here. They're gonna take over. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's them. It's them. Yeah. They're here. Oh my god. God, it's them.
You wear pajamas, get it in the car, looking up, thinking up, direction.
The Zeti reticuli species of aliens are often described as having a grayish-green skin tone with large, almond-shaped black eyes. They are typically shorter in stature, standing around 3 to 4 feet tall, with slender arms and legs. Their heads are disproportionately large compared to their bodies, and they are known for their highly developed telepathic abilities. The Zeti reticuli are said to be highly intelligent and technologically advanced, with the ability to travel vast distances through space using advanced propulsion systems. They are believed to have a peaceful and non-aggressive nature, preferring to observe and study other species rather than engage in conflict. Despite their unique appearance, the Zeti reticuli are said to possess a deep understanding of the universe and have been known to share their knowledge with select individuals on Earth.
Wear pajamas, you get it in the car, looking up, thinking up, direction you can go far, not the way to go.
Alright, so let's face it. These guys, from reading the reports of various abductees, they seem to be, they have a hive mind, basically. They're connected, and possibly, like, we'll go into it a little later. There's an explanation I've found that kind of describes the way their communication probably works. But it boils down to they seem to be getting kind of frustrated because they're trying to give this message of doom and hope. As far as trusting them, I'm not so certain. They seem to lack a certain level of emotional involvement, but that could be for a number of reasons. I mean, they are, after all, an alien species. However, they have been abducting and hybridizing. So basically, it's like a genetic war type of thing. You know, it's a like very passive-aggressive type of conflict they're pulling here. And it seems to be creating some issues with some of the other Anunnaki. That the whole menagerie together is what I'm going to call the Anunnaki for the most part, although supposedly the reptilians live underground. Who knows, you know, it's like the more I discover, the less I know, really. And so, I mean, what you have teaching you here is an entirely ignorant man, I'll tell you what. Bottom line, though, is you got to look at the spirit and intent. And the important thing is who is behind the calcification campaign on the third eye to limit us. Who is placing themselves between us and the divinity and trying to push us back down to the animal level of intelligence? That is really what we want to know, isn't it? Because somebody's doing it, you know. After we go through this menagerie of all the players involved in basically in the current conflict, I'm going to give you my thesis, my take on it after studying. One thing I do want to get across is that while I use AI to do the voices a lot of times and create the imagery, the scripts as well as the research is mine. So I'm merely using AI in order to create a more picturesque episode, basically to augment my creativity. So it's not cookie cutter here, and I do quite a bit of time editing and such, and researching and all that. So just so you all know. Anyway, I wouldn't trust them for the simple fact that, they're facing extinction apparently. They seem to be in a conflict because of their hybridization and breeding program on Earth, and it really sounds like a sleight of hand type of deal. I mean, basically, when your species is dying, you have nothing to lose. And one thing I've learned throughout my travels is that when you're tangled with those who have nothing to lose, you have nothing to gain. You know what I mean?